Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Coach Ricardo Miller, and we are live yet here on social media once again. I am joined with my good friend Nathaniel Butler. What's up, Nathaniel?
Man, I'm so happy to be back here, Ricardo, man. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, man. I am doing wonderful. I'm missing the Bahamas, and I'm overdue for being back home on the beach, enjoying the food there in the Bahamas. I am long overdue, but I'm coming back home soon and very soon.
No, I totally understand, man. I totally understand it, man. And in a pandemic like this, if you're still
Yeah,
trying to recover, man,
yeah.
the waters here in the Bahamas are very therapeutic. I'll say that.
Come on. It is the truth. I believe that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching us this morning, I'm joined with Nathaniel Butler. And let me tell you something. We're talking about a subject matter. You don't want to go anywhere. Do me a favor and subscribe to our channel. Share the link. We're talking money this morning. We're talking money this morning. There are too many people who have been stuck on bad money practices that's been hurting them. And year in and year out, they've been saying, I'm going to take control of my finances. Okay, I don't want to live another broke day. I don't want to live paycheck to paycheck. You know what? As a matter of fact, this is not the way I was born, or this wasn't the way I was raised. There are people who, like, I went to school, but the truth be told, they went to school and gathered more debt. Right? And sometimes you left school and don't even know how to eliminate the debt you acquired while you were in school. Well, today we're going to help you today. Nathaniel, before we dive into our talk, tell our viewing audience a little bit about yourself. How did you come about also with this interest and passion for the studying of money and money management and so forth?
I'll be honest with you. I am basically a husband, a father, a brother, a son. Um, and I say those things because my journey to finances or personal finances has really been about my family. And I watch members of my household make really bad money decisions because of certain life events. And most of those life events were centered around health challenges. And I felt something within me to wanted to help, to protect, to guide, and I couldn't help them at that time. Honestly, couldn't help them at all because I was just as ignorant as they were. And ignorant is not a bad thing. Remaining ignorant is a bad thing. And for me, I started my journey of learning. And what was so ironic about the whole situation was I was working in financial services. Financial services is the business of helping people assist them with their money.
Yep.
And so I was just as ignorant as the persons who were in need of help. And it wasn't just me; it was so many because I didn't stay in one sector of financial services. I moved along the lines in so many different areas of financial services, and outside of what we were trained to do, any of the other subject matters, we were lost, man. And so I
Well,
had to go and school myself, sit down with some of the best in the industry, some of the best within the region, learn from them, and then after a while of learning and seeing how things operate within the industry, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna help as many persons as possible. And eventually, Ricardo, I started off in the schools. Long story short, I can honestly say I am now in almost every Bahamian household.
well, that is so good to hear. That's so good. I am of the belief, and I heard you mention this just now, that it is possible for you not to know. You talked about ignorance, and there are people who just don't know. I remember living on Soldier Road and there in the Bahamas. I didn't know. I didn't know that there was money out there to be made. I didn't know that I could become an entrepreneur. I didn't know that I could become senior management and so forth to a degree where I'm making really good money. So there was this position where, Natalia, where people don't know that they've not accepted at least that
Yeah,
there is money to be made. But then here's the deal. There are people like what you mentioned just now. There are people who work around money and still don't have no money. It's
that's
like,
true.
I mean, tell me what's
It
going
would
on
shock
there.
you.
What's going on there? There you have you've spent time to study money You work in working with other people money, but you don't have any money. What's going on there before we dive into this talk?
So for me, I would call that's when you don't take advantage of the exposure that was given to you. And honestly, I'm saying this from a sincere place
Yeah,
that those persons who are struggling, sometimes it is pride,
yeah,
not asking the person around the corner or
yeah.
who have a desk next to you who
Oh,
can
you,
assist
yeah,
you.
yep,
Some of that is that. And then some of it is the fact that um, they don't realize how bad it is until a life event exposes them
yeah. Wow,
to where they really stand.
yeah,
And for a lot of persons, the wake up call was the pandemic.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
The wake up call was the pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, I've discovered that it is possible to watch this, discover the truth, and not apply the truth you've discovered. So you end up not getting the benefit of the truth that you've acquired over time. So the
talk
scripture
about it.
says the truth will set you free. But the unfortunate thing is, you're watching Nathaniel and I, and you're able to say, I know what they're saying. But the truth of the matter is, are you experiencing results from having known what we're saying? Are you producing at the level in direct proportion of what you know? Today, we want to talk about money. Okay. Today, we want to talk about the lack of money. Today, we want to talk about acquiring and getting that money to the degree where you're no longer living paycheck to paycheck. This conversation is one you need to share. Now, here's the deal, Nathaniel. The pandemic revealed a lot of things,
Oh
but
yeah.
there are a lot of people who have accepted they weren't in a good financial position.
Hmm.
They find themselves in a worse financial position, but
Hmm.
unfortunately they have not been studying how to break the habits that they have acquired over a long period of time.
Hmm.
So now that things are starting to lift back up, what are the chances, Nathaniel, of the behaviors continuing to persist? Not realizing a lot of people felt bad going on the NIB line. A lot of people
Oh
felt bad
yeah.
having to go to the grocery line that was being
Oh
given away by some charities within an island or in a city. Some people were
yeah.
like, you know what, I felt so bad. And watch this, Nathaniel, has gone so far to say the government is wrong.
Yeah.
The,
You're right.
the government is wrong because you're on the line. The government is wrong because they're giving you this amount of money through the national insurance services. What's going on
Yeah.
there?
Yeah. So in the midst of crisis, you see mindsets. In the midst of
Wow.
crisis, people verbalize their mindset. And that's where you see that even though you have so many in the same boat, everybody views it differently. Everybody views it differently. Some people are upset that the fact that they don't own the boat. Some people are
Yep.
upset that the person who owned the boat put them in the boat. Some people are
Yep.
upset that the boat is not big enough. Some people
Yep.
are upset with the fact that there's not enough resources in the boat. And some people are upset with the fact that people don't want to be seen in the boat. So
Yep.
you have so many different mindsets in the midst of all of this. And then the second thing you have to realize that we are all in a position where we can basically position ourselves to improve our situation, but some prefer not to.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Some prefer not to improve their own situation.
Yep.
They the pandemic was the perfect excuse to the world why they should not try anymore. And then some people legitimately, Ricardo, has gotten so the life, I mean, curveball after curveball, breaking ball after breaking ball, thrown at them that they got to a point where they just give up.
Wow.
That's the honest truth, man. You got some people who just say, you know what? I don't have enough
Yep.
to endure. So we're dealing, like I said, with different mindsets. And for me, honestly, the pandemic was the perfect time. It was the perfect melting pot in some cases to change the trajectory of anyone's life.
Yep. Yep.
It was the perfect time. You
Wow.
had time at home. You had
Yep.
time to reflect.
Yep.
You had time to even connect with people you haven't connect with. You have access to videos like this.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? With no distractions.
Yep.
And you could have bettered yourself, man. So a lot
Wow.
of people took advantage of it. A lot of people missed the opportunity, and a lot of people are still now working slowly to improve their situation.
Nathaniel, during the last year, during the pandemic, when it hit and all of the stocks started dropping, they just stopped slowly, just dropping. Nathaniel, I went in for the kill on American Airlines because I knew that's
Oh
my
yeah,
airline. And I knew the United States government would not let that belly up.
you're right.
I I went in and I bought stock, and now they're saying American is starting to bring back all the pilots and they're ready to crank this bad boy up. And I'm watching this thing climb. And I said, oh Lord, I should have just put a few more thousand. I should have just put some more. But
Listen to
I'm
me.
grateful because something shifted for me because I jumped on the bandwagon. Nathaniel, opportunities will present itself to all of us. Opportunities will present itself. Very few people are preparing themselves for opportunity, though, which is why a lot of people aren't acquiring success. When you think about the need to prepare oneself for a crisis, because here's the deal: in the Bahamas, we're talking financial ruins through that of Hurricane Dorian.
Hmm.
We're talking about the global pandemic. We're talking
Yes.
about just outright sickness, health challenges within
Yep.
families that would have disrupted a household.
You're right. You're right.
Preparation, the role of preparation in financially securing yourself. Before we talk any further, talk to us about that.
Yeah, so you hit the nail on the head. When crisis presents itself, especially external crisis, it's so much opportunities. It's unbelievable, and it's all about positioning yourself, being prepared to act when the opportunity presents itself. Every time there's a major economic crisis, there's wealth transfers. Every time there's major economic crisis, there's wealth transfers because now, and I've said it so many different times, you can buy assets that produce income on a discount. So you hit the nail on the head. You said a couple of things, and I just want to give you an example. You talk about here in the Bahamas, we had Dorian, a Hurricane 5 that teared up Abaco and then the eastern end of Grand Bahama. Okay. But Ricardo, do you know right now, from since after the hurricane, even up to right now, the number one island that has the most real estate transaction for 2 years running is Abaco in the midst of a pandemic?
Pandemic, yep, yep, yep,
And that's not only locals, but also persons internationally are buying it.
yep, yep. I
You
know.
talk about the pandemic. I know of businesses that are expanding in the
Yep,
pandemic. This is
yep,
unbelievable. So to
yep,
sit there and say, well, everybody is affected in a negative way, no. People wait for moments like this in their lifetime to get ahead.
wow, wow,
You understand what I'm saying? You
yep,
talk about the
yep,
stocks falling. I know people got into cryptocurrency. I know people got into the stock market. I know people
yep,
got into private equity. I know people
yep,
got into real estate. And I
yep,
mean, every time I look at what their situations are, all I see is an increase of the money that the initial investment that they made is now almost double, is now
yep,
almost triple. It's
yep,
unbelievable. So
yep,
to everyone, I am saying that there's still an opportunity left. I am
yep,
saying it is still not restored as yet. So there's still room to make some movements, to make some
yep,
changes. You understand what I'm saying, Ricardo?
yep,
You're
yep,
not getting this message in the fourth quarter and only 2 seconds left on the clock. You're
yep.
getting this message at the beginning of the fourth quarter. So there's still
Come
we
on.
could still win this game.
Hey, Nathaniel, here in Dallas, the Texas area, it's a seller's market right now when it comes to homes and real estate. It's a seller's market. I mean, you're gonna get. I mean, what people are paying for homes are ridiculous right now because people are coming from LA, and
Yes.
you could buy a home in LA for 500,000. And that home had bars on it, and it was in a crime-infested area for 500,000. You come to Texas and get a 500,000 home, and you look like you're on a ranch.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just so you get so much more in Texas. So there's a lot of movement going on. So it's a buyer's market here in the states. But watch this. I got word that it's a seller's market. Uh, in the it's a buyer's market in Grand Bahama. It's a seller's market now. So if the sellers sell now, you're getting better return.
Oh yeah.
In the Bahamas, I've discovered that in Grand Bahamas, I was looking at some properties, okay? And there's like, this is the time to buy now, just
Mm-hmm.
like what you're saying. Now, here's the deal. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a boy who left Iron Bailey with an attendance certificate, okay? You could get the knowledge necessary to take yourself to a place where you never dreamt of being if you just decide to apply what you discover. And today, Nathaniel, I want you to talk about some things that people can apply to help move them to a place of prominence and eventually financial stability. Because, yes, we know that the pandemic hit a lot of people, and a lot of people are still really suffering from the blindsidedness of this. But the truth be told, and this is what I want to teach effective living, this platform is about personal responsibility.
You're right.
Listen, personal responsibility. At some point, I am 45 years old, Nathaniel. At some point, I missed the window when they were building the bridge. I was advised buy some bonds in the bridge. I missed that window. I missed the window when they say buy some stocks in Cable Bahamas. I was there,
Yeah.
Nathaniel, when Cable Bahamas before it opened. They said I had someone said you got an ASU coming, $5,000. Use that
Yeah.
ASU money
Wow.
and buy into Cable Bahamas. I
Yeah.
did not buy into Cable Bahamas. Long story short, moved on. There were a number of other opportunities I didn't buy in. So here's the deal. I started studying. I started making myself aware. Now we're in a pandemic. And as you mentioned, I started to affiliate myself with the right kind of people that will help me to know what I need to know. My question to you, because things are shifting for me, I want to know what has been three of the greatest life's principles that has shifted your position to be the guy who you are today, because your position is a solid position. Your belief system is really, really good. And help us to understand how you got to where you are now, and what is it that you still stand on that has become foundation for you?
Man, really great question. Really great question. So I'll give you three. They won't be my top three, but I'll give you three. And
Yep.
I think
Okay.
the three that I'm about to give you is where everyone who's starting off,
Yep.
who's at the beginner's level, I think
Yep.
these three is the best for them. These are foundational principles. I'll say the first thing is environment. Let
Yep.
me tell you something. If you want to change your life, you have to change your environment. In an environment where they talk about investment, you will naturally adapt to the culture there. So what am I saying? If you want to get big in real estate, you need to go out or be amongst those who are either real estate investors or real estate agents. Understand the language. You cannot recognize an opportunity unless you have knowledge and understanding. And just being a part of the dialogue will help stimulate your mind. You become more familiarized with terms and terminologies. And so now you begin to, this is the big one, you begin to now have the eye to see an opportunity. That is that is more value on that, right?
Yep.
Than to be told there's an opportunity because you can't put a value on it. That's
Yep.
why most people don't act. But when
Yep.
you can
Yep.
see it, when you can perceive an opportunity, my friend, now you don't have to talk yourself into buying. You already want to buy it. But when you
Yep.
can't perceive it, man, people gotta sell you
Mm.
on that. You, so environment, you gotta be in the right environment, and that's very easy to get because in anything that you are in pursuit of, there is an environment that cultivates that information, that cultivates those transactions.
Wow.
And people will say to me all the time, well, I don't know where the environment is. Have you really looked?
Right.
Have you
Yep.
really looked? Okay, I want to be in securities. Okay, where do the people who deal with securities go?
Yep. Yep.
Find it on Google, find it on Facebook.
Yep.
Oh, they meet over
Yep.
here. They go to Starbucks over there. Okay, I'm
Yep.
gonna go there. I'm just gonna just sit in. You understand what I'm saying,
Yep.
Ricardo? The
Yep.
second point, the second point is exposure.
Yep. Yep.
My friend, you're not going to be successful unless you are exposed to the very thing that you want to engage prior to sitting in the chair where you have to engage it.
Yep.
If a man really, really wants to be successful as a father, it will be better for him to be exposed to that first before being a father and the pressure is
Yep.
on to perform.
Yep.
If you want to be a great CEO, don't wait until you become a CEO To function as a CEO, you need to be learning and exposing yourself to that. And how do you expose yourself? That comes with one-on-one mentorship and
Mm.
reading of books.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to know the moves, what to do prior to the chair.
Mm.
I have $100,000. I have $10,000. I have $1,000. How do people with $1,000 spend their money? Okay,
Mm.
read a couple books here. They did this, this, and that. Okay, hey, my upline. Hey, if you have $1,000, what would you do today? Okay, I would do this, this, and that. Not saying that you follow what they do. I am just saying now,
Yeah.
the more of these people who you talk to, you are now
Yeah.
exposed. Because remember now, you already perceive the opportunities, but you're
Yeah.
now exposed to the strategies and game plans.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
this is the big one, the last one, orientation. I remember back when I was in school, you had to attend the first day of school, they call it orientation. Why?
Yeah.
They had to familiarize you to the
Yourself.
campus,
Yeah.
they had to
Yeah.
familiarize you to the teachers, they had to
Yeah.
familiarize you to your schedule, right?
Yeah.
Orientation is one of the biggest point in this lineup of three. Why? Because when you go and make your first investment, my friend, you need somebody holding your hand.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
When you have somebody holding your hand, whether you buying a business, whether you buying security, whether you buying real estate, and they show, okay, now I can introduce you to my real estate agent. I'm going to introduce you to my lawyer. I'm going to introduce you to my insurance agent. I'm going to introduce you to my broker. I'm going to introduce you to my investment firm, my my CFP, my financial planner. You understand what I'm saying, Ricardo? When that is done, the person now have a sense of confidence on that first deal because somebody hold their hand. They walk them to the stakeholders. They show them the course outline. They show them how to operate within the system. So now when the second deal comes, it's a lot easier. They know what to do. They know who to talk to. And I think right now, most people are absent of not being in the right environment. And being in the right environment is not a moment. You gotta, that's almost like a life decision. It becomes a part of your lifestyle. Being exposed, that's an intentional act. And last but not least, being open to receive, to be orientated. Because somebody who's orientating you may not be the same gender, may not be the same ethnicity, may not even be the same age. At the end of the day, there's a measure of success there, and we just want to tap into that. And so we got to put the pride down and allow them to expose us to their circle of influence, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, man, Nathaniel Butler is blessing us today. If you're enjoying this talk, do me a favor and share. Tag somebody in this deal and say, listen, you got to get with this, man. You got to get with this. Now, here's the deal. Opportunities will present itself to help you to become free of what you needed to know that you didn't know, but now you can get to know it and you can decide that I'm going to apply. I don't want to just know the truth. I want to apply the truth. And that's the reason why I took the time and wrote this book. I want you to get a copy of the book today. Go to my website, ricardomiller.com, and get your copy of the book. Now, here's the deal. This book is a game changer. It's not a book. I call it, it's a tool. Okay. It's not a book. It's a tool. And you've got to get to the place where you start to realize information matters. And if you gather the right information, here's what you can do. You can start applying that information and it will change your life for the better. Nathaniel, there are people watching us today. And we know that in the midst of all that's happening in the world, I believe that there are things someone can do to get themselves out of financial debt. You can write this stuff down and decide, you know what, I'm going to apply. Now, if you've been following Effective Living, this platform for a while, you would know that we build this platform on 5 foundational F's. We call it faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun. Listen, finance is what we're talking about today. When your money is funny, it affects your health. When your money is funny, it affects your family. When your money is funny, it affects your fun. It affects even your faith. Because guess what? You end up praying to God. I feel, Lord, I just need the light to stay on. I need groceries. When if you get your money together, that won't be on your prayer list. You'll be praying for something else. Faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun. That's what it's all about. Well, today we're talking money. We're talking about getting control of your money. So, Nathaniel, I want you to dive into what you believe to be 7 keys for someone to take control of their
Wow.
finances, take care,
Wow.
control of their money. And there are people I know, I ain't got no money, brother. What you talking about? Even not having any money doesn't mean you cannot take control of the principle of money in your mind, which allows you that when the first set of money comes, you're not trying to correct something only after you got some money. How many of y'all know what I'm talking about? If you're
Yeah.
watching us today, you got to get your mind right even before you get that money. So anyhow, Nathaniel, share with us what you believe to be 7 keys that will get someone out of financial debt.
Man, listen to me. Man, these questions are right on point. So I'll tell you this. The first point, believe it or not, for me, and I had to change this and make this my first point, and I've seen success with this. Like, I mean, absolutely success, almost to a point where I could say almost a 90% accuracy with this one. I had to make this the number one point. The foundational point, if somebody wants to take control of their money, Ricardo, they need to pull out a piece of paper and write a declaration on it. I will take control of my money.
Wow.
And then right underneath that, they need to write this declaration. I will not allow, and then start to write the very same things that may have put them in the situation that they're in today. If it's procrastination, they need to write that down, man.
Yeah.
If it's
Yeah.
family members, they need to write that down, bro.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, or whatever issues that they have with themselves, we're not even talking about the debt, we ain't talking about the numbers yet. We got to deal with the person, Ricardo.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have sat down with too many persons around the world.
Yeah.
And when I first started, Ricardo, I'll be honest with you, I was only focused on the exterior. And people get the information and they'll write down and they'll, and then they'll come back a month later and no change. And I'm like, something ain't right with this. You know what I mean? And then I start doing more studies and researching
Yeah.
and trying to find the best way to explain it to them. And I only increased by 25%. And I'm like, something still isn't right with this
Yeah.
picture, man. And it wasn't until I realized, Ricardo, the financial psychology of people, unless that change,
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
if you don't change, if that person doesn't change from the inside, Ricardo, if that person doesn't become intentional with the areas that they know are skeletons in their closet, Ricardo, I don't care whatever else you're gonna do out on the back end, it's not gonna be sustainable. I'm not saying that they won't take the actions, but it will come a point in time that action is gonna be tried
Mm.
and they won't have the fortitude to go beyond. You understand what I'm saying, Ricardo? So number one, you need to make that declaration. And you need to stick that thing up big and bold wherever you live or wherever you work. Yes, some people are gonna look at it. Yes, some people are gonna laugh at you. I tell people all the time, man. And this goes for the Bahamas, also in the U.S. and every other Caribbean country, because all our numbers are relatively the same. All of our numbers are relatively the same. Ricardo, if people laugh at you, always remember this, man. 7 out of the 10 people who are laughing at you, they're in the same situation as you, or even worse.
Oh, even worse.
Or even worse, man.
Yeah.
So don't worry about them. You get yourself out, and by the time as you get out, because they're gonna watch your habits, they're gonna watch your behaviors. By the time as you get out, Ricardo, what's gonna happen is you're gonna have a greater influence on them for them to get out. Now I'm not saying they all want to get out. They'll like the idea of getting out. Number two, oh boy. Okay, so I want to say this again. You want to write that declaration. I will take control of my money and I will not allow, and you start to list those things that you
Yeah.
know that has hampered you from succeeding or excelling in life. It doesn't all have to be financially related, but for the most part, it has to be self development related or self control related. You understand what I'm saying? The one thing we have in control in life is ourselves. And we got to master that first in order to win this battle with finances.
Yeah.
The second thing is you need to be able to to assess your income generating ability. Now, how do you do that? Well, write down what your income is. Now, here's the thing, Ricardo. One of the things I love about the effective living community, the premise of it is, creating a life that you do not need to take a vacation from.
Yeah.
which is grounded and rooted on faith principles,
Yeah.
right? Ricardo, if a person writes down on their income and they're making minimum wage, Ricardo, they have
Yeah.
not lived up to their income generating abilities.
That's right.
If a person writes down their income and they only have one income, Ricardo, like I said, this is a faith-based
Yep.
community.
Yep. Yep.
They have not lived up to their income generating abilities. Well, you say, how can I say something like that?
Yep.
The Bible's quite clear.
Yep.
Don't invest in just 7 or 8.
Come on.
Why? Because you don't know what calamity is going to hit the earth.
Come on.
That's scripture.
Yep.
So if you're just on one income, the Bible tells you that alone is dangerous.
Yep. Come on.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Your income generating ability is the ability I'm referring to is the same ability in Deuteronomy where it talks about you have the power to get wealth.
Yep.
The question is, what talents, what abilities, what skill set, what personality that you have not tapped into or unlocked or exposed in the right environment to generate money? Have you tapped in really into your purpose? Now, for some people, they could start out overnight, and for others, it may require a process. I am saying if you can look at that paper and you can see right now that that income is not enough, you need to sit down with someone. You need to sit down with someone, my friend. Number two, we got to look at these expenses, man.
Yep.
Number two, we got to make a list of all of the expenses.
Yep.
We can't attack anything unless we know what we spend it. See, Ricardo, this is one of the truths I've come to discover amongst a lot of persons. Everybody know what they make, but not everybody know what they spend. Straight up.
Wow. Wow.
Everybody knows what they make. You ask them how much you make. Oh, they could tell you that on the dime. Now, how much you spent last month? They can't tell you. And I'm talking about they're not even giving you ball. They're not even in the ballpark. You wouldn't mind if they were in the ballpark or outfield. No, man,
Yep.
they outside the ballpark. So far, far left.
Yeah. Yep.
So we need to write down what the expenses are, man.
Yeah.
We gotta know. And then when we subtract income from the expenses or take away the expenses from the income, now we know what we're working with. Is there a surplus? Is there some form of savings? Is there disposable income for us to do some other things? If these things don't exist, now we need to go back to number 3. So point number 4 is we need to go back to either point number 2 or point number 3, which is income or expenses. And now we need to reduce either the income or generate more. Reduce the expenses or generate more in income. Let me say that again. Point number 4. Point number 4 is we need to go back and look at our expenses and see if we can possibly reduce our expenses at the same time. Also looking at our income to see if we can possibly increase our income. That is so important. Point number 1, declaration. Point number 2, assessing, not just writing down your income. I didn't say write down I said assess your income generating ability.
Yep.
That is different than just writing down your income. When you write down your income, you have to look at it and say, am I measuring up to my full potential? If the answer is no, you need to go sit down and talk to someone. Real talk. You really need to go through some assessments. You really need to ask yourself the tough questions. Are you really being fruitful here on this earth?
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? And this is not an attack. This is just saying that in order for you to live your full life, in order for you to take control of your money, take control of your time, you got to look at that income. Our expenses, our management skills is reflected in our expenses. Point number 4 is bringing the balance. Bringing the balance. Now, point number 5, we need to know what the debt is. Now, it's okay to have debt that is associated with an asset that produces income, such as a business, such as rentals for a property. Even if you have a home, it's okay to have it. We want to quickly get out of it. But what is not okay is for you to have all kind of debt that doesn't help you move forward in life. The credit card debt you don't pay off at the end of the month, the consumer debt, the car loan debt, all of these debts are not propelling you forward, they're holding you back. If I take all of the money that you spend in your debts right now on a monthly basis, and now we eliminate that and take that same amount of money and we invest that every month, because remember now, you're already used to not living with it.
Right.
That's salary deduction. You already used to
Yep.
look at how much money you would invest on a 12-month cycle
Yep.
or a 26-week cycle. 24-week cycle. My God,
Yep.
you'll be sitting back and say, wow, millionaire status
Come
is
on.
extremely
Around the corner.
achievable.
Yep. Yep.
So number five, like I said, we need to know the debt. When I say know the debt, we need to know the balance.
Yep.
We need to know the interest rate. We need to know what the monthly payment is. And also, we also need to know whether it is secure or unsecure. These are very critical points. What is the balance, the total balance remaining on this thing? What is the interest rate on this thing? What is the monthly payment on this thing? And then also, is this unsecure, secure? Is this fixed? Is this going to go up and down? Is this adjustable? We need to know all of these things.
Yep.
I've seen so many persons get caught in a situation where the 7% changed to 10% on them overnight. And then the bank called them 3 months later and say, man, you're in arrest. And he said, but how? It's salary deduction. Yes, salary deduction. Yes, but the interest rate changed.
Mm.
So now you've been in arrest in the last 3 months. No, man, we need to look at these things.
Yep.
Number six, Ricardo. So number six now is you now need to put yourself in the position to get the necessary information, right?
Mhm.
To bring the debt levels down. All right. So this is where number six, we're talking about debt strategies. And the debt strategies, there's several. I'm going to give you three. There are several debt strategies, but here's the three I want to give you. We have the snowball effect. This is publicated by Dave Ramsey and his team. And I do agree. This fits a lot of persons who struggle with motivation. This does
Mhm.
not work in regards to numbers, but it does work for persons who struggle with motivation. You take the lowest balance and then you pay that off and you work your way up until you pay off all of your debts. Okay, so you take all your debts, you write them on a list of smallest to largest, you pay the smallest one off, and you work your way until you pay the largest. And then we have the Robert Kiyosaki method. Now, these are persons with high incomes, they get dividends checks and all kind of royalties checks and that sort of stuff. So you're looking at the debt that has the highest interest payment. And you knock that one out first. It's called the avalanche. That avalanche. You knock that one out first. And then you have this last one, and this one is very important. This one, I would say, the emotional baggage.
Mm.
There are sometimes not all debts are the same. Some are with financial institutions and some are with people. And you could endanger a relationship if you don't take personal responsibility in the repayment of that debt. Yes, that might not be the smallest debt. That might not be the debt with the most leeway per se. But sometimes we need to pick up that phone. Hey, I might not be able to give you all, but this is what I can do. And this is what I'm willing to do to save the relationship. We have in this Western side of the world, we have a culture where we borrow from family members and friends, people who've stood in our corner. And we got to make sure that we honor those relationships by staying true to our word. The last one, Ricardo, the last one is once you got to budget every single month to ensure that you're putting money aside for savings to ensure that you're paying off your debt. And when your debt is completely paid off, like I said, don't put that money back into your pocket to go spend. Take that same money that you was paying for your debt when all the debt is paid off and take that and put that into investment. But I don't have enough money to deal with my daily expenses. Well, either one or two things. Go back to point number four. Either you raise your income or you reduce your expenses or you do both.
Yep.
But you've already proven that you can live without that.
Yep.
So what we can do with that? We can put that in investments, man. What type of investments would you should put it in? Well, go back to the beginning of the tape. If real estate is something you want to do, like I said, go into that environment. Securities, go into that environment. That's what you do, Ricardo.
Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, Nathaniel Butler just blessed us with seven. Practical keys to take control of your money, your financial debt. You can take control of it. Natalia, I got a question for you. When it comes to decision and discipline, making that decision, I'm going to apply the seven. The discipline to keep at it. Most people fight for both. I'm not. There are a lot of people who are watching us. If you are one of those people, you fight with, you're watching us, but you haven't made the decision. You've watched us and you've watched other people, but you're not making the decision to get out of financial debt. It's a decision, right, Nathaniel? It's a
Yeah.
decision that one has to make. And then there's this discipline that, okay, I'm only making one income right now, but I get a second form of income coming through me selling chocolate bars at the receptionist desk in our building, or me selling something on the weekend, or me baking cakes and I'm selling it on the weekend. Now the reality of it is, Nathaniel, it is the discipline to say that's extra. The discipline to not just go ahead and say, well, I made an extra $200 this weekend. Now I got to go to the mall at Marathon, or I'm going to go to an outlet here in the States and I'm going to shop because I got some extra money. Talk to us a little bit before we bring our talk to a close. Discipline and decision, or decision and discipline. The important role of both of them in your seven uh, keys that you gave.
So, in one of the points I made, well, let me just say this first. Point number three. Point number three, like I said, is you want to look at your expenditure. You want to look at your expenses. You want to document all of your expenses. So, in regards to your point, discipline and decisions, control. It comes down to self-control. And both of them make up self-control. You got to make decisions and you got to remain disciplined in the decisions that you make. You know, in order for you to be successful in anything in life, you have to control yourself. And that is the hardest thing in life to do, especially when you come to the awareness that there is no, that you lack control. And the lack of your control is putting you in your current situation. That
Yeah,
is very hard to accept
yeah,
and very hard to change.
yeah.
However, like I said, once you make the decision you want to change, you understand what I'm saying? The discipline, you know where people struggle with discipline? Decision is in the moment.
Yeah.
Discipline is over a period of time.
Time. Yeah,
That's where the struggle is. I
yeah,
think sometimes we want to apply the decision over a period of time, and then we want the discipline in the moment. It don't work like that. It don't work like that, man. So we need to position ourselves where, yes, in that moment we make the decision, but sometimes we need to be reminded of that decision, Ricardo.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that will give us the fuel to be disciplined over the period of time.
Wow, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, we're joined with Nathaniel Butler today. Let me tell you something. The information that was given, you need to tag about three of your friends and say, this is some good stuff. Practical, easy to apply, stuff that you can get into working into your life right away. Okay, practical stuff that you can literally start to step in and just. Nathaniel, last question that I have for you. No, I have two more questions. This is this one. This I can't help myself. But this one, Nathaniel, there are people on their way to trying to get themselves together. There is a form of investing. You have to invest in listening to stuff like this. There is the role of investing in getting yourself free. And investment come in a lot of different forms. There is the
Yeah.
investment to get up in the morning and watch a free talk. There's the investment of getting a book that can actually free your mind from the behaviors that you've been accustomed to that's hurting you. There is the investment of getting a financial coach and bringing on a financial services. Break down the dynamics on that make good sense, because some people might say, I can't afford a $20 book, or I can't afford a $200 service from Druba because I'm in financial ruin. But if I can invest in Druba, I can become financially free. Break that dynamics down, that investment makes sense.
No, I totally get you, man. So it comes down to perception and perspectives. And for that individual, most see the thing about it is, Ricardo, when you start asking the right questions to a person, They understand where they're at. Okay. It really comes down to the decision of whether they want change. People say they want change, but they really don't want change,
Yep.
Ricardo.
Yep.
But then there are some people who legitimately want to change.
Yep.
My only issue with the whole situation is that I have found that most persons who propel towards change, they do it because of life events.
Mm.
And most cases, negative life events.
Yep.
When that life event hit them, that's like, okay, I know I need to change. I have to change now. I can't go through this again, or I now need to maintain this new situation that I find myself in. And you find that they are the easier ones to want to propel forward and say they'll watch the free broadcast, or they'll go and get the coach, or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
The person who's absent from a life event, you find that they stay on the fence. They still stay on the fence until that life events hit them. The challenge I have is when that life event hit them, we're still back with this. Okay, should I go with you?
Yep.
No, I think I can do it next month. No, I think I got control of it. I think at the end of the day, Ricardo, I've never met somebody who has achieved a level of success haphazardly.
Correct.
That was always an intentional act.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
And once I could get a person to wrap around what they want out of life, you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Somebody who's just diagnosed with diabetes. Okay, I want to live. Okay, then
Yep.
now we know what we need to do. It may
Yep.
not be easy.
Yep.
Somebody who's in financial, or they may not even be in it. They just want to enter into investment. Okay, how do you envision your life? Well, I envision my life financial freedom. I envision my life with financial peace. Okay, that's fine. Here's the price. And I
Yep.
normally tell them, now, if you don't act, here's what could happen.
Yep.
You understand what
Yep.
I'm saying?
Yep.
And then after those type of conversations, you find the persons make up their mind and say, you know what? I want to make the change. And I want to make the change now. Not everybody, but
Yep.
you find people say, I want to make the change. I want to make it now.
Oh, there's a price to be that has to be paid still. You said, man, I'm in financial ruin and I don't have the money. Well, there's a price that has to be paid to go ahead and listen to free content until you get that first little. Then you get the book. Then you get the next stage. You still gonna have to pay the price. There's
Yeah,
something.
but you
Go
got to
ahead.
remember, Ricardo, and not to cut you off, you got to remember now, people only think that money is the only currency in life.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
number one currency in life is time.
Time. Yeah. Yeah.
And if you can't show commitment to time with time, everybody's giving
Yeah.
the same. You, myself, we all
Yeah.
got the same amount of
Yeah.
time like Bill Gates
Yeah.
and Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you can't commit to something with time, then man, I realize then you're not really serious about self-control.
Wow. Nathaniel, what does effective living look like to you when it comes to financial management?
Effective living in financial management, to me, is having the freedom to live that best life, man.
Yeah. Come on.
Is having that freedom. See, is a lot of people want to create it, right? But you gotta
Yeah.
have the
Yeah.
freedom to
Yeah.
remain in it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
gotta. Most people do not want to work, but everybody wants to be in their purpose work. Most people
Yeah.
don't want to have to work, but everyone wants to be in their purpose of work, or the work that brings the highest level of fulfillment for them. You understand what I'm saying? And in order for that to be achieved, whether it's social entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship or even your career, at the end of the day, you could only do that if there is financial freedom in the midst of that.
Wow.
That don't mean you got to
Financial.
be rich. That just means that your bills are paid.
Come on.
Nobody
Come on.
calling you, man, and you can handle any life event that comes your way.
Come on. And ladies and gentlemen, it is possible for you to position yourself to be that way. That's possible. And it's not too late. Stop saying it's too late. It's not too late. Natalia, how can people get a hold of you if they wanted to follow you, some of the services and so forth? You're everywhere. You're doing some phenomenal stuff. And let me tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, get him now. Get him now because listen, 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, you might say, hey, I remember that guy. I called his services and it was such price. But 3 years from now, it may
Yeah.
not be that same price. And now, well, you kept procrastinating when you could have probably gotten a grandfathered in. at a reasonable price, because this brother is growing and going. Okay, so anyhow, Nathaniel, tell us, our viewing audience, how they can get a hold of you and tap into your services now, while you're not just for the rich and famous.
I laugh at that. There was this lady 9 years back when I was doing free presentations everywhere,
Yeah, yeah,
and she said to me, no, my daughter, and take the CN courses you took, man. I'll
yeah,
just go to
yeah,
her. All
yeah,
right. 9 years later, I'm at a function,
yeah,
and it was paid. Now that they paid
yeah.
me,
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
and they decided that
Yeah,
they were going to make some money off of the consultation calls I did. So they put their price on top of my price.
yeah.
The woman asked me, why am I charging? I said, Miss, I did not arrange the event. The organizer of the event,
Yeah,
and they
right, right.
said this is the price.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Now you could have get it when it was free.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, but in all honesty, so I would say to everyone, drubersolutions.com, drubersolutions.com. Druber is spelled DREWBER, solutions with an S.com. Book a consultation with us, and then we go from there. We let you know what we can do and how we can assist you. I'll say this too, for someone who's looking what to look for in a financial counselor, advisor, whomever. Qualifications is one. You want to make sure that you're dealing with somebody who is qualified. That's first and foremost. But secondly, find out what their niche market is. You know what I mean? You cannot be all things to all people. There has to be a particular group. And then also find out their track record with that group. And last but not least, how frequent the communications or what form of communications you're going to have with that individual. I think those are the four premises you should judge it on. Don't talk to one, talk to as many. But when you come down to Drupal, we get plenty on the team, so you can talk to all of us and figure out which one is the best for you.
Listen,
Oh
man,
boy.
I love and appreciate what you're doing, man. Your passion and commitment for your craft, to your family, to your faith, and just showing up, uh, like how you show up, speaks volume. And so, thank you very much for giving us some of your time, ladies and gentlemen. You don't know, but before we got on, this brother said, "I ain't no morning person. I'm not a morning person, but Coach Ricardo, with these early morning sessions like this is something else." But thank you for accepting my invitation. Thank you for breaking out of your early morning custom to enjoying your mornings without having to go into a session like this early. But you helped a lot of people today.
No,
We
I appreciate
appreciate
it,
you,
man.
man, and keep soaring.
I appreciate that, man. Appreciate you and appreciate the community.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great talk with Nathaniel Butler. Go forward right now and draw up a plan to execute 7 practical things that he suggested today. Contact his office and make sure that you get a hold of what they have to offer to help you where you are when it comes to your money management needs. Also, go ahead and get a copy of Effective Living, the book. If you have not gotten it yet, go to ricardomiller.com, get the book. I'll sign a copy and mail it to you right away. It's going to bless you. You need to invest in yourself on your journey to living life effectively. Nathaniel, have a great day, my friend.
Thank you so much. And I want to shout out to Keith and also Lakeisha from the Druber team that are on the page and watching the chat now.
Good stuff, man. God bless you guys.